Well, if you want to talk to my three kids about that, if you know, that's yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, we don't even any other night we don't even have our kids ready by 9 o'clock. So it's a fucking rush to get everybody. Oh really? Okay, my bad. No, we're muted, aren't we? I got a crew chief. Um, well, man, I'm gonna give you parsec. All right, and here we All right, and here we go. Leaders take the starting lap behind the safety car. All right. Sorry, gentlemen. We had a
Nice.
little bit of technical difficulties there. Still trying to get this all figured out, but we did.
I'm just. I don't know if you guys are getting it on your side, but on my end of the parsec, it's flat out the actual.
Did he say it's what's the problem with the parsec? Okay. All right. And like I said, boys, we're still trying to get some of these technical difficulties squared away. It's only our second stream, but as you guys can see, Job did an amazing job on the beautiful new UI. Uh, each production, we're going to try to add piece by piece to it. Still trying to get the SDK a little bit squared away, but I'm glad that you guys are sticking with us. Do we have a caution? Looks like we have a caution. If we can We're gonna go back and see if we can maybe figure out what happened there. First caution of the day. Looks like if I was gonna have to guess, it's gonna be Biscup and Perez. Let's see here. Let's see what happens. Ooh, looks like 18 just got a little bit on the apron, got him loose, and shot him up. Yeah, can we get another angle of that? Yeah. Ooh, and there might be more damage picked up by the number one car and possibly the number nine car there too. But definitely without a doubt, the 8 and the 18, they took the worst of it. All right, boys, we are back again, and like I said, we are still trying to figure out some of the some of the what do you call it? I'm sorry, some broadcast things. As you can tell, I'm a little bit can't even put the words for it, but I think we got it. I do think we have it. So right now, we had a caution, like I said. The 8 and 18 car up into the wall. Don't know how much damage they got. I know the number one also hit the wall. He might have went to the pits, got a little bit of repairs. He's now in ninth place. Looks like the 13 car is catching up to the back of the pack. Um, so we're gonna have to see how this restart goes. It's gonna be very interesting. Very interesting. Don't know how much damage they got. I know the number one also hit the wall. He might have went to the pits, got a little bit of repairs. He's now in ninth place. Looks like the 13 car is catching up to the back of the pack. We're gonna have to see how this restart goes. So as of right now, if we can get the truck real quick, actually, I think we might be going down turn 4 right now, so it might be a little bit too late. I'm kind of curious if what's up with the number 8 car. His relative has not moved at all. It looks like the 12 car is probably 2 or 3 laps down by now, being 300 seconds. But we'll see if he sticks in it, because points matter at the end of the day. If you want that season championship at the end of the day, every point fucking matters. So here we go. And what a start by the Ford car, just taking off from the pack, but they'll quickly catch up to him. We'll see if he sticks in it, because points matter at the end of the day. If you want that season championship. And here comes the number 5. So here we go. We got 2 wide behind the number 5. Taking off from the pack. And Thomas, just wondering, what would you do in this situation? Would you? Because I was kind of thinking earlier today, are these guys going to keep it single file, keep it safe, and wait to do race until the end, or are they just going to pull the pin on the grenade and just start going immediately? And it looks like they're sticking double file right now.
Yeah, it does at the moment. I mean, the logic would say really at this point in the race, what we've got a good 70 laps to go. We're going 3 wide already. Okay, I was gonna say take it nice and easy. They've clearly ignored that,
Immediately, and it looks
and
like
I think the race is probably all the
right
better
now.
for it. I must say, 3 wide's lovely to see. It's what you want to see at Daytona.
Yeah, without a
But
doubt.
yeah, no. If it were me right now, I'd be wary of just avoiding a wreck. These guys seem to be adopting the Colin McRae strategy of when in doubt, flat out. But yeah, so it's great to be back here with Jobe's Motorsports for the opening race of the NASCAR Cup Series with a 12-car
Ooh,
field. So
ooh.
pretty much double what we had this time last week, and it's shaping up to be a great race with the 26 out in front with a good margin at the moment. I was wondering with the field size what sort of Daytona we get tonight, because there's kind of 2 ways or 2 or 3 ways we've seen Daytona run IRL, which is that you used to have it, of course, back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, when it was just a pure horsepower thing, and you get these. We wouldn't have the drafting fields we would today. We'd get like eventually the field would be whittled down to 4 or 5 cars that would be drafting together, and you kind of get these packers. We've got another caution. It then, of course, moved on to like we had what we have today, where it's just double file, full blast all the way through, and then you've got the tandem drafting we once had IRL as well. So looks like we're very much getting that kind of pack racing that we love from these super speedways. So yeah, it's shaping up to be a really really nice race, and it's nice to see that they're kind of going from it from the off, because of course there is a bit of a concern that if they do run single file, it can get a little bit just that little bit less interesting at this stage of the race. But of course, we again we know there's going to be fuel strategy, tire strategy coming into this, as we saw last week. So
Yeah, for sure.
should be
And
really good.
I know through all the we were trying to get a little bit situated there, but through the in that first caution, almost everybody came down the pit lane and looked like they topped off. So let's see if everybody takes that strategy again. That
I think it goes
25, is he gonna peel down or is he gonna come back up?
as we saw last week. So
And it looks like everybody's gonna do another top up again. And while everybody's topping up, if we could get the truck to possibly look back, I think it was the number 13 car that got caught in some trouble there. I saw a couple cars down on the apron. Maybe if we could possibly get, looks like, yep, 13 looks a little bit banged up. If we could get a little bit of a replay, that'd be awesome.
yeah. And just on your on the refueling here, essentially you're just getting a free pit stop. You're just getting a free refuel, and what that
Ooh,
means is, oof,
ooh, looks like,
I think he's overcooked the tires and just sent it into
yeah.
the wall. But as to your point, the reason they're refueling, of course, is because essentially, if everybody pits and gets that fuel back, it just means you can run a long. Essentially, if we go for a longer green flag stint, you're going to be able to run a few laps longer on that stint. And if we get enough cautions, it may be that you can go and have a really nice fuel run to the end. We'll have to wait and see what they do with tires, but there's literally no punishment. If everybody's going in at the same time with fuel, then it only makes sense and it only gives you an advantage if you can top up that fuel run. And then, it may be that you can start that final stint on fuel. As we've got a couple of people taking to the bus
Taking
stop here,
the
which is an
bus
interesting
stop.
tactic.
that's that's actually pretty funny. I
Uh,
can't lie. That was actually kind of
Daytona was a
fun.
few months ago, mate. It only makes sense. It only gives you an advantage. Or the
Oh,
Rolex, I should say, because both events are at Daytona. Um, but yeah, no. If you can just go a bit longer on those fuel stints, and I think we'll be seeing a lot of that today, where drivers will just come in at every opportunity, because of the we've got 80 laps, we're already 10 down. Um, it's very much go hard, go fast, and do everything you can. So I think we'll be seeing quite an aggressive strategy from a lot of these drivers today. They seem to be staying out though on this occasion. I thought they might duck in for another attempt, but as they were running the kind of a low side. But no, it's been a pretty eventful start to our first NASCAR race here
yeah,
in the
for
Jobe's
sure.
Motorsport League,
And then I do got to say, how awesome is it that we doubled our participation in 1 week and in a different discipline. So Joe's Motorsports keeps on growing. We're happy about it. I couldn't be any happier about where we're going. 12 guys to start the field. Unfortunately, it looks like we may have lost two, but that's Daytona. That's pack racing.
yeah, that's the risk you run. I mean, what's that famous quote? I ain't lift until I see God or the checkered flag. I mean, it's kind of the spirit you've kind of got to embody when you've got a field such as this, and you know, eh, one wreck, one perfectly timed moment, one perfectly timed caution could swing it for any of these drivers. But as you said, yeah, amazing stuff to have more than doubled the participation in the second week of this league's existence. I think it just kind of shows the popularity of Daytona and NASCAR, but also what happens when you start a league and you start it right and you get everything sorted and you make sure that you're able to put on a real good show and make sure that the drivers themselves are able to really enjoy their racing, which is clearly what they're doing here.
Absolutely.
I think we're going to be seeing a bigger field as well for Spa this time next week when we go back to GT3 as well. So yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it's a really positive step.
without a doubt, we're going to keep growing the league, and we're definitely going to get full grids eventually. That's the goal, and these are the OGs. We're happy that these guys came, and they saw what we had, they liked what we had, and decided to participate. Looks like the safety car is going to bail in this lap, and we're going to get under racing again. Yes, sir. Safety car in the lane, and the boys are off towards the restart zone. These are the OGs. We're happy that these guys came. And a good jump by the 22. Let's see how quick the 7 gets into his butt there. Now, one thing we're also gonna have to look out for is if the top 3 or 4 decide to stay in single file and work together, they very well could drop the rest of the pack. So it's going to be interesting to see. But look at that outside line. As soon as I'm talking about it, that outside line is roaring. 41 and 22
Yeah,
blocking. Man, that was a beautiful pass. And I'm sorry, that's the 25 coming down to block the 22 to take P2. That outside line was rumbling, man. That outside line, as soon as I'm talking about it, that
yeah, man.
outside line.
What we're seeing here at the moment, the inside lines, we kind of suspected it would be the more popular of the two grooves that we're going to run. I think there's those who are trying to stay on the outside line there kind of being caught out. I think they're going to have to cycle to the back, and just tuck in if possible, unless somebody. Oh no,
Oh,
we've got a
look,
mover up here. So
there's a
there's
number
going to be a third
9.
car. That's going to add
Oh,
momentum. They're fanning out now along the back straight.
and this is the race, and I am happy to see because we could have seen these guys just stick it out single file for 150 laps, but these guys they're pulling the pin out of the grenade immediately, and I love seeing it.
Fanning out now along the back straight.
And as you see, the 21 car Darby Marriott coming up, giving a push.
Yeah. He's the only one of the field we had last week to be the first person to start both
Ooh!
the first GT and first Cup race in this series. They were almost running it out to the
Yes,
apron
sir.
there,
That was a
but they're
checkup
going to
by the
hold it.
number
And I think with what
nine.
we're seeing now is kind of yeah. Yeah, tell you what, I'll have to take my words back because I thought the outside line would falter quite a lot because of the fact they hadn't quite got the momentum. But what we're now seeing then is two lines of four. So I think that kind of double groove racing is going to hope well for these guys. We're already seeing a bit of a breakaway. It's the top eight now, with the bottom four kind of already probably losing this draft, and unless they'll need a caution or two to get back into things. But for now, this kind of top eight we're running with seem very, very happy to be running at the momentum and the pace and the aggression levels really that they are. It's going to be the nine almost moving up into the side of the 22 there. And unless they'll need a caution or
Oh,
two to
look at
get
that
back into
outside
things.
line starting even with three guys starting to peak out the momentum against that five line inside.
Very, very
Five car
happy to
inside, excuse me.
be running at the momentum and the pace and the aggression levels really that they
Oh,
are.
number nine pops out. Oh
Into the side
wow.
of the 22 there.
Are we about to get single file here?
I think we could be, Well, no, again, I think there's that they're just quite not able to let go of the promised land of the outside
Oh,
line,
and
are
we
they?
got
They're still sticking with it, and fair play to them. We've got a great run around the outside, the
yep.
nine, and I think that's the one maybe working a strong line, but I think again they sort of start to fan out a little bit. But no, again, this time the outside line does not work. If you've got somebody going down underneath the apron, that could well be an illegal move if they do improve their position. And now look what that's done. That attempt on the outside line was really not worked, and the
Yeah.
top five are kind of starting to break away a little bit. I
What
think
that
they
was it
won't
was
be
the
able to completely escape those 3-4 cars behind them. I think we'll see a bunch up again. And that could well be an
yeah,
illegal
for
move.
sure. And what that was, what we just saw there also was that the lap car of the 41 lap car of Blackie. He that's what caused the massive checkup. He did not have any momentum. He was running by himself, and that pack caught him, and that's what separated the pack. But it looks like they have caught up, and they are all possibly single file. We got 41 on the outside. 41 is the lap car, mind you. That's what caused the massive checkup. And he might have
Got
just
three
lost
right
the
there for a
draft on the
moment.
start. I'm not sure because now that he's in the draft, he wasn't a lap down at the start, but he's a lap down now. So I don't know if I don't know if he just lost the pack or he had to serve a penalty or what, but somehow he did lose a lap. But next caution, if we do have one, he should be able to get that lap back if he is not involved. Oh! Man, these boys are. I don't even know if these boys have let off the throttle once.
Yeah, they're making moves. They're making aggressive moves. But I think what we're seeing really is that if you look at the drivers that are in that kind of top bracket, those top 4 or 5 positions, they're the ones that are staying on the inside line where there's very little risk. We talked about it earlier in the broadcast in that you run the inside line and you might not be able to advance your position, but what you are doing is you're being able to run with guys you trust, and you're building that trust for later in the race, and that's where these kind of alliances that are going to be formed throughout this season, especially when we talk about these super speedway events. In real life, we see, we have the manufacturer alliances at Daytona and Talladega. We have the driver alliances. You kind of know who you want to work with, who you want to
Oh,
trust
car
with your
backwards.
race.
Car backwards
And
into
we
the
do have a car
wall.
backwards.
Yeah, let's see if that's going to bring out the caution. It may not because of the size of the field, which would be very unfortunate for him. Oh man,
Is that the 9?
that is the 9, and he looks like he got. Let's see what
What
happened.
happens here then?
Oh, went up
Oh,
for
I
a
think,
block
yeah,
and
the 22 just gets back into it, and it's a horrible feeling. You're rolling along the front stretch at Daytona, kind of comes to a stop, really, and he's now returned. Yeah, I think that's going to be a meatball for him
yeah, and that's super super
as he returns
unfortunate
to the
that the
pit lane.
caution didn't
Out
get.
front, though,
Yeah,
we have a leader. We have an outrun, and this is what I mentioned earlier. As he's is he going to be not along the front stretch at Daytona? Kind of comes to a stop,
are
really.
we under caution now, buddy? We got to be under
I'm
caution now.
unsure actually.
This does
I
not
don't
look. There
think
we
so.
go. So it
There we
looks
go.
like we are sorry, and we will get this fixed. Our overlays are not updated, but we will get this fixed. Like I said, it is a learning process. But we are actually under yellow, so who's to know how much time the 9 car is going to lose? It is going to be at least one lap. We'll see if it's going to be multiple laps.
I think it could be well more than that, depending on the.
Like I said, it is a learning process. But we are actually under yellow, so who's to know and how you also got the 25 car ahead of the safety car. We'll see if it's going to be multiple.
I think it could be
Mm.
well more than that, depending on the.
Oh, all right, there we go. Safety car's ahead of the 25. Looks like he just didn't want to arc a brake. Understandable. All right, so with this caution, the number 41 car, which did not look like it had any damage, it looked like it was able to run with the pack. The 41 car is going to get his lap back, I believe, through the lucky dog.
Yeah, we do have that rule in effect, so that means essentially the last car on the or the first car one let down, I should say, actually gets that lap back, gets returned to the lead lap, and actually what we have here at the moment is a split in strategy now because the top 5, 6, 7 drivers coming in. What I presume is just a fuel top off really to make sure they can try and go as long as possible. And again, what this is about is essentially trying to get it to a point where if there's enough cautions, you can come in pretty regularly, top off with your fuel, and then you don't need to worry about it for the rest of the race, and then you don't need to come in again. So again, that's kind of unique strategy. But what we're also seeing is a couple of guys have stayed out trying to get track position. Maybe they're thinking a bit more longer term of, well, I can just go and splash and dash it towards the end if we get a lucky caution with your fuel, and then you don't need to worry about it for the rest of the race, and then you don't need to come in again.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure with the 80% fuel load how many laps that gets you. So that is going to be very, very interesting to see. I'm going to guess with us being about quarter way through the race, we'll have to see maybe one or two more stops. We'll just have to see. I'm not sure, man. Quite sure with the 80% fuel load how many laps that gets you.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be something that we're going to be able to just use it this race, but as a bit of a milestone, really, to kind of see what these cars can do on that 80% fuel. Of course, it's going to depend on again, if you're at the front, you're going to be doing most of the work because you're going to be having that throttle wide open to give your lead pack the momentum. If you're sitting back and it's second, third, fourth place, maybe you're going to be using. I think in the race we can see them using anywhere from like 50 to 80% throttle. It very much varies depending on your situation, and if you can take advantage of whatever situation you currently have, and just sit there running and saving that fuel while staying with the leaders, that's going to give you a huge advantage going into the final laps of this race. I think fuel strategy is going to be a huge factor today, and it's interesting that even at this stage we've got guys choosing track position over that fuel security while staying with the leaders.
Yeah, for sure, and we're gonna have to see how it's gonna pay off at the end. Um, Because with the size of the field, I don't know if I would want to. I mean, I know this is our third caution. I don't know if I would want to cut. Keep betting on cautions. I don't. We'll see. We don't have 40 guys in here, right? Looks like the 18 and 8 unfortunately had to park up from that lap one incident. The 13 car. When did the 13 car get banged up? Do you remember what accident that
I think
was?
that was one of the earlier cautions, definitely.
Looks like the 18 and 8 unfortunately had to park up from that lap one incident. The 13 car. When did the 13 car get banged? Do you remember what accident?
I think that was
And it
one of the
looks
earlier.
like the last car in the lead lap is going to be the number 22. That car back there, the number 9, does not look very healthy. Think the 9 just patched it up, and he might. Like I said, we saw it last week with Reese in the GT3, who had that unfortunate wheel disconnect, but he still stayed in there and raced the entire race, even being 3 laps down, because he saw the big picture. He saw that $250. So we might be seeing the same attitude from the number 9, because he's hanging off the back of the pack a little bit, and his car don't look right. His car looks a little bit beat up there, so we'll see how that works. The 22 also looks pretty beat up there. That's the 2 cars
Yeah,
that
well,
were
it's what.
in that incident. Might be seeing
Yeah.
attitude.
Mm.
He's hanging
But
off.
again, if you can finish while the field is still growing in its total size,
Don't look
that's
right.
just going to give you more points towards that championship. It may be that today
Exactly.
you might not have the best finish, but if you can get ninth, eighth, ninth place, and you can take advantage of misfortune of others around you, then it's just more points towards that 250 quid or $250 grand prize we've got at the end of the season as the inside line just starts to form up again. It's Cannon, who I think has led every single lap of this one, apart from the ones under caution where he, of course, pitted. Behind him, the number 7, just really staying on his bumper. I wonder how that kind of change in strategy is going to play out over the
Oh,
course of this one, because again, we've now got this little split strategy where some guys have taken the fuel, some guys have taken track position, and they've, again, it's not necessarily going to hurt you at this point in the stint, having not taken the fuel. It's only really going to be a few laps that the competition have on you. It just means that you're doing something slightly different, and what you're also doing is you're making those guys that were just gonna do the pit stop every single caution. You're making them think, because they've got an extra variable to calculate in their heads while running around at 200 miles an hour in a sim with 11 other guys, all wanting the same result as you, which is that Daytona victory. What you're also
without
doing
a
is you're
doubt,
making
and I do want to point out Darby Marriott, one of the stronger cars of the day, got shuffled out real bad there in the restart.
to calculate in their heads while running around
And
at
he
200
looks
miles
like
an
he's
hour
having a little bit of a hard
with
time keeping up
11
with the
other guys.
pack. Now, I don't know if that's strategy. He
Is
might
that
just be hanging it back there, like you said, extreme fuel saving. Even if he goes into the pits at the same time as everybody, he will be stopped shorter if that's his goal. So we'll have to see, because Darby has been running at the front of the pack pretty much all night up until right now. So don't know if he picked up damage or this is strategy. He might just be hanging it back there, like you said.
well, we are a quarter of the way through, or just
Even if
over, as we are getting back into that kind of single file attitude. I think the eagerness of earlier in the race that kind of caused those cautions from this field has sort of died down. I think possibly that's a wise decision from these guys, because as much as you want to like race as hard as you can throughout every single one of these 80 laps, you've got to think about your own race as a whole. You've got to think about getting to the end of these 80 laps, and we've got a bit of an outside line trying to form itself back up. But you've got to think, well, I need to start at some point I need to make sure that with like 10 laps to go, say I'm still right there in the hunt in a good position and in a place to make my final moves on those last few laps. And the way you do that is by staying out of a wreck and staying
Absolutely.
with the leaders and staying pretty safe. And that's what they're
And
trying to do now.
and one thing I do want to point out, the problem that Darby is going through right now is he's stuck behind several lap vehicles right now. He's let's see here. Once we wrap around, he's in last place. He is stuck behind the 41. Um, that might be the only lap when he's actually behind. I might have misspoke there. No, the 13's in there too. The 13 is also a couple laps behind. And we know the 8 and 18 are out. So Darby's stuck behind two lap cars. And
Yeah.
I don't. Very interesting, dude. That's my biggest question mark right now because he's getting outpaced by some of these damaged cars. I wonder if he's just on some extreme fuel saving, or maybe he didn't pull the trigger on the tires. I'm not sure, but this is very interesting. He was one of the stronger cars all night. One thing I do want to point out, and if he's not careful, he might
Yeah, now
lose
he's
his
gonna.
pack. Stuck behind several laps.
Mm. Well, that's the difficulty that you are presented with inevitably with this kind of single line situation is that you can go and make a move and try and start something, but the likelihood is you're just going to get shuffled further around the pack, and you might even lose the draft altogether if you're really unlucky, and then you're in a whole world of trouble. So you can't really make any moves at this point in time because unless you time it perfectly with somebody else, you're just going to end up losing momentum. We've got what 1, 2, 3, 4, about 8, 9 cars in this kind of lead train, and even just a great example of this is this lead battle between the 7 and the 26. The seven's been stuck on the 26's tail, unable to really do anything or challenge because they both know that outside line is not the line to run right now, and they both know that doing so would just sacrifice your position. As we've got a, that's what the I think that is the looks like it's the 4 or the 5 even that's trying to make something happen
And
on the outside
look
line.
how quick he
We're
got
still
shuffled
seeing it.
out.
They're really
He,
they want to make it work, but it just isn't at the moment.
oh, here we go, and this might be Darby's chance. These three cars stick it out on the top. They might be able to make a run, but right when the 5 gets help, he ducks back down to the inside.
Yo, Nat, can you mute us real quick?
Here we go, and this might be Darby's chance. These three cars stick it out on the top. They might be able to make a run.
getting echo on the Discord? Okay. Cool.
That we were informed about.
Yeah, just looking at the race now as it stands, we've got about 5 cars that are sort of forming a bit of a breakaway at the moment. They're kind of running line astern at the moment. It's. I don't know what's happened, but about half the field has just suddenly dropped back completely from this leading group. We've got the 26 and the 7 that have been running basically together all race long, ever since we went back to green as we approach half distance. You've got the 22 there as well, and then it's actually the 4 and the number 1 that are kind of just holding on to the back of this little train. Now this top 5 have broken away by some, well, timing is calling it a 25-second lead for these top 5 cars. Of course, that I think it's the 20 to the 13 of that turquoise car at the back there. I'm pretty sure that is not on the lead lap. So yeah, be wary of that. Basically, not all of the cars
very
in this league
interesting
group.
though. What happened to Darby? That is going to be my question of the day. Because I mean, all night he was pushing the 25. The 25, I definitely would say, is probably the strongest car of the night. But Darby was his trusty pusher there for the first, I don't know, about 20 laps.
Yeah, we can't see. I don't know. I think it is. We remember he got caught in caught in traffic on the second restart. I think that's what did it. Because he just wasn't able to get by as we got a car taking to the underneath the apron, and actually that's going to 13. That's going to drop a lot of positions. But I think it'll drop out of the draft as well at these top 5. So looks like that's going to go from a top 6 to a top 5, and indeed it pretty much is that, because 5 cars run faster than 1 when in a straight line and when drafting.
Yeah, and this is exactly like I was saying, man. I was wondering if this was going to be the race we originally was going to get. This single file, played out safe.
Looks like that's going
to be very, very interesting, because the way they're running, unless one of these guys decides to pull the pin out of the grenade, which it doesn't look like any of them are willing to, Darby and the number 5 could absolutely get lapped here. And that would
that's the risk, isn't it? That's the risk you run. And
crazy.
Again, it shows how crucial that staying in this lead draft is, because again, well, we're now set. We came back after that issue. We said, well, where's Darby? The reality is he's so far down the road. He's fallen off the lead draft so much that we can't even see him in the shot. And that's the reality of what happens now. Is that if you lose that lead draft, you can say goodbye until the next caution happens to any chance of being anywhere realistically in the race. What we're seeing really, though, is a battle of wits at the moment. The 25 is doing such a fantastic job of holding the 7 off, and yes, it is the single file situation that we knew might happen today. But even so, to be able to kind of act as almost a roadblock, you've kind of got to be punching that hole in the air, but also slowing up that car behind. And even though they've got your drive, to it because, again, if the 7 wanted to, it could pull out at any time. The 7. You could argue he's the weakest because all he can do is react, whereas everybody else can plan and strategize to just jump ahead one car in the queue and get into the lead.
For sure, man. Alrighty, and we finally found the source of the echo. But we are back here, and man, dude, they're close. They're getting close to getting lapped, man. They're getting very close to getting lapped. That is I'm very curious how Darby got shuffled out that hard.
Yeah. Well, the key thing is we're now 6 laps past half distance. So remember what we mentioned earlier, that fuel strategy. We haven't had a caution in a good 20 or so laps. So now that kind of tactic of when do you pit does come into play. And really, the 7, you look at the 7 and we know it didn't take fuel on the last stop. You're at that point, you are kind of gambling on making sure that you get that kind of caution period that comes before the end of the race. And if they are going to run like this all the way, it's now that group of 5 cars that are just jostling for the position at the front of the race now.
We
goodness
might.
me, that's proper contact.
Wow, but
I think they've run away with it,
and they saved it, and that is exactly what Darby and the guys in the back needed. Especially if we do not have another caution at this point, Darby needs to link up to that guy he is with, and they just need to be pushing because it is a 2-man pack versus a 2-man pack, and everybody else is on their own right now.
Welcome back, tandem drafting. We've missed you in Jobe's Motorsport League. We've got all kinds of NASCAR today. As you mentioned, though, what that's done is it's shaken up the entire field. And now we've got the top 2 who must be thanking their lucky stars because they can just work together now. All they can do, because of the gap, you look at the gap now, it's 5 seconds, 5.1, 5.2. You can just look at the at the timing tower and just see visually how those gaps are increasing to the entire field. The 22 is probably is the unluckiest man in the field there because he's already, by the time I finish the sentence, he's suddenly in the draft of the 4 and the 21 of the 4, and they're now going to be working together. So really, I mean, there's an argument to be said that you really, of course, we're going to have one more fuel stop guaranteed, possibly a tire stop as well if they're feeling brave enough. What this does is it makes it very, very difficult for another caution to happen because, it's just very unlikely that 2 cars collide in the kind of situation where one is drafting the other. And so we mentioned Darby got lucky really there because, that caution would have kind of hurt his race. And now we could be looking at this race being a 2-horse war. But even if you look at the position of the 7, let's say the 7 was to move out. Let's say it's the last lap now, the 7 moves out. have they got enough of a momentum? And then when do you time it? There's still, even with a 2-car drafting pack, is actually that's what was a 2-car drafting pack is now a 3-car drafting pack, which could I mean, that is going to start to bite into
And
the
it's
lead
already
gap
starting
just
as you
about.
look, it is already slowly starting to come down. But I do want to point out that unfortunately, Darby and his partner, they just can't get no momentum going, man. That third,
No,
about
I mean,
almost 40 seconds. By the end of this corner, they are going to be about 40 seconds, and that's you might be seeing the lead pack in Darby's camera shot here very soon.
well, that's the risk, isn't it? These guys, if the race is now run uninterrupted, then these guys are just going to be able to go and lap everybody theoretically, because again, if there's no caution, then there's very at this stage there is a very little risk of a caution. It's going to be super interesting to see how that affects the strategy now, because we could be looking at a situation where, but I think that really the top 4 can all get on and off pit road. And by the time that gap increases further, the top 4 or 5 cars will be able to get off pit road by the time the rest of the field come through.
Well, and
And so unless there is another caution,
here's a big thing too that we have not considered is these guys are going to want to these pack of 2, the pack of 3 back there, and even though Darby and his friend are not making much leeway, they're going to want to pit together. If they pit separately and we really get these cars separated, whoever pit together, they're going to have a massive advantage of making a rundown. So it's going to be very
yeah,
interesting. If I'm number 7 Goldschmidt, I don't care. I am following in number 25 without a doubt.
yeah.
And if you don't, that's really gonna possibly shake up the race.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is as well, what this is giving us is again, it's furthering the dynamics of this individual race, but also, the 25 and the 7, they've had such a good partnership throughout this race so far. They're going to be totally fine with working with one another for the rest of the season, you'd say, really. Like, again, these partnerships are going to be formed in real time as the racing season continues. And yeah, this kind of bond that they kind of thrust into, they're going to have to put together, because that's their only method of survival, really, against this 3-car pack that we've got towards the back, that is slowly gaining on the top 2. Their only hope is to pit together, is to run together, and just hope they can outlast them. I'd suggest, just on natural pace, that what it's 26 laps till the end of this one. I'd suggest that isn't going to be enough to just straight up outpace that chasing pack of 3, and we'll see if we get another caution today. But again, first of all, these two have run an absolutely brilliant race so far, but then now it's a question of, can they hold on to the positions they currently own on track, because they are going to make their pit stops. This is going to be crucial. And actually, what we need to think as well is, could they swap positions underneath this pit stops, because the 7's going to come in earlier than the 25, already making that transition into their box as they both come in. If they do hold station, how's that going to affect things? Does the 7 want to have a go up front and see if it can take on the 25, and maybe that could be a decisive move here? It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the last kind of third of this race.
I do want to point out that there may not be any cautions because of the size of the packs, but we now have the problem of the green flag pit stops, and as you know, NASCAR has no pit limiters, so we'll see if all these drivers can make it on and off pit road without a penalty.
Indeed. Well, actually, what did we just say? The 7 had the probability of doing the number. Oh, well, okay, they're coming out. This is the battle of the pack of 3, is it? They've come out they've kind of messed that up a little bit. They've all come out quite far apart from each other as the rest of the pit stops come in. There is the 4. And yeah, these guys are going to take a while to bunch back up, and that's going to just hurt their lap times, because of course the gaps may be large, and that is what they are. But you only hurt yourself more if you're wasting time getting back up to the rear bumper of the guy ahead of you. When you were so close before.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if we can get the truck to shuffle through the whole field, let's see if there is any packs. Because right now we got possibly 2 packs forming. Darby Marriott pulling off of the pit lane now. Let's see if he goes in and tries to maybe slow up this momentum, and he plays it fair. He stays under the apron, lets the lead car pack go by, but we'll see if he can catch the tail end of this draft. But they might just have too much momentum right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, what are we looking at here? That's the 1 and the 21. It looks like. Actually, you know what? The way they have exited the pit lane at the moment suggests that perhaps they're close enough. You can just see there what looks to be the 20. That is the 21. I think it's closing. In fact, it's really closing.
And here once again, Darby looking like he has the strongest car. An absolute run down the back straight.
Yeah. And now what's that done? That's made a 3-car fight, and they're now going to start outpacing the 2 behind. So again, the dynamics of this race, and because of the unique situation we've been provided, is that it's going to be these little battle packs, these little squadrons, little groups of cars that are going to decide this one. At the moment, it's actually the 7 that holds a 2.3 second advantage. That is growing very slowly, mind you, over the 22. So that kind of pit stop strategy did work out quite in a big way for the 7.
And
this is the battle for
I do also
fifth.
want to make a point right now. You got the number 7 car in the lead, but both Darby and the number 1 car are a lap down, so it might be smart for them to work together and try to shuffle the number 7 out. So
Yeah, they're going
on
side by side.
If I was them, I would pull up on the top line and try to completely shuffle the 7 out of this line. Get your lead lap back. You guys have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right now, you guys can work together to get your lead lap back, and that is what my strategy would be
Yeah,
right now.
I'm surprised that's what then. I'm surprised. I mean, there was a little bit of an attempt there, but it didn't quite work out. I think they both know that, and I think they're going to have to just wait and bide their time. And again, the 20, it looks like what's happening at the moment is the 21 will get a great run off the final corner. I guess it's got the strongest draft of all of them. Yeah, goes to make the move, but look at that. The car, the number 1 just is not moving with him, and so we end up in this stalemate where the 21 again has to just settle back in the pack because it just cannot get that move done. The 1 is refusing to go with it. And I guess what the 1 is thinking is, well, if it can stay behind the 7 and use his draft, that means that Darby, unless he gets a really good run, cannot get that free pass as well. Oh goodness me, that's the 25. 25 goes around, and I'm surprised we're not yellow for that. We'll have to try and get the broadcast truck to follow along and see what happened exactly. But yeah, so the 1 here can just sit behind the 7, and it doesn't need to think about anything because as we do get the replays in it's contact between the 5 and the 25.
Sending them both into the infield. But,
huge save.
Yeah, looks like a nice save. Oh.
Let's have a look at this.
Oh,
so they
wow.
both get. Oh. So it's contact between the 25 and the 5.
And
They're not
turn
having
4.
the happiest time of things.
Man.
Again, I think 25 goes to the overtake, this contact, and now they're both running across the trioval. That's the worst possible thing that could happen to the 25's race. And again, manages to save it, but at what cost? The tires are completely shredded on that red NASCAR. So again, not only has he lost his drafting partner, he's gone a lap down, and now he's all alone.
Oh, and now we come back to something happened here. The 20. Wait a minute. Are we still? I think we got a caution.
I think we're cautioning.
We got a caution.
The 25 causes the caution.
But what a heartbreaker for Darby is not going to. Well, we'll see. We will see what the pit strategies are, but right now, Darby was not able to get past that number one car, so he will not have the lucky dog. One of the strongest cars of the night is still going to be a lap down. But what this does do is this brings the entire pack together, and this gives us the option for, or the chance for some more cautions to end out this race. We got, by the time we go
Yeah,
green, I'm going to assume we're going to be about lap 63, 64. So
yeah,
nice little 15 lap run to the end there. We'll have to see how this plays out, man. We'll definitely have to see how this plays out.
absolutely. It's going to be really interesting to see how it does.
And
I think that now we've got these cars for the first time in about 20 laps. They're going to be back up in a bunch, and they're going to also be slightly out of position. I think, that the order that we see them in now isn't actually the order they're racing in. And what we're also seeing is a couple. Oh
Darby's going
goodness
to
me, we're
get the
getting even more strategy now with
Darby is
19 to
going
go.
to get the lucky dog. Darby
Yeah,
should get the lucky
the
dog.
seven stays out. Take that track position as it did on the last occasion. Might I
See Darby
remind you
getting this
guys,
free
because
pass
again,
now.
the 7 is liking that track position cool, but I just wonder what the fuel numbers are saying on that machine, because we've got a quarter of the race or just under to go, and the last time I can recall the 7 having pitted was on about lap 20 or 25. So that's going to be cutting it quite fine if it wants to go to the end and see if it can kind of pull off a bit of a Casey Miz 2006 or 2007 style run um, on the fuel. I mean, it's quite rare we see a fuel race at Daytona, or at least a race one on fuel. But that's the kind of situation we've got. What he's got behind him is the 4 of Donahue that just moves up into that second position. The 22 and the 21 are behind them then. So yeah, I don't know. I'm super intrigued by the 7's decision to stay out yet again. I fear for the 7 that it may just prove a bridge too far in terms of, because if it has to make that green flag stop, you can just say goodbye to everything, because you know, again, a lot of other drivers, at least at the front, in terms of the drivers in contention, have made that pit stop. And so, by being the only guy out who has not done so, yes, if it goes your way, it really does go your way, because you're the only guy on your strategy. And if it's the optimal strategy, then you win big. If that's not the case, you're the only guy who hasn't pitted in like nearly 40 laps or so. That's gonna really hurt you, and you haven't got a whole lot of time at all to make that mistake and rectify it, because we've only got 13 laps this time by, and we are gonna do another caution lap or two. So it could be, yeah, as you said, 15 laps to go when they've got to start, making up for their mistakes.
And another thing is, once again, we've been talking about friends all night. Darby in the number one. I do think Darby keep going when he was kept going to the outside, was trying to send a message to maybe try to get the lead lap back. But it's gonna be very interesting, because if I was fourth and down, you at this point you'd have to think you guys would have. That's who you want to work with. You want anybody who's a lap down to be in your line, and you want to push that line in front of the leaders. I think that would be the teammate dynamic here. We'll see if they can make that work out, but I think that it could be very interesting if we could get a little group of lap cars in front of the leader, and there possibly be another caution. That means we could have a flip of the field and possibly get maybe 6 cars on the lead lap and a flash. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. And once again, everybody, the person besides
Yeah.
Darby and behind, everybody behind Darby and besides him is a lap down. So it is going to be interesting to see how they play this out.
Yeah. So what's that? 4 cars on the league lap
3 cars
we've
on
got
the
right
lead.
now?
No, actually, we do
3
have
car.
4 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah.
Looks like the
because it's
22 car is
under
catching up to the pack.
yeah. So yeah, under that double, basically it's double file restart. So essentially, if for as many rows as we have double file, um, that's how many cars are on the lead lap. Anybody else on the inside after that is a lap down, or more laps down even. As well, I think we're gonna go back to green this time. Do you think?
Yes, sir. Safety car in the pit lane, and these boys are heading towards the restart zone. Number 7 with a good jump, and man, the back of the pack just constantly gets left behind on these restarts. But we'll see if they can get hooked up quick. And we got the lap car, the 41
Yeah.
of Blakey behind the leader.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
There's Darby with
I'm taken back to last week in the GT3 series where it was a race won on strategy, essentially, and I'm just so intrigued to see whether this or kind of audacious strategy from the 7 will work out. They still haven't pit, and they may well have to make it under green flag running for that splash and dash. We'll have to wait and see if they can get a caution. That would really, really, really help them. At this late-ish stage, we've got 15 to go, and we've got now a full pack together again. Never say never in terms of cautions.
And we're about to have
what
another
have I just?
caution.
Have I commentated
I
that?
think we are about to have another caution. Oh, Darby is still going. We'll have to see what happened to. We'll have to see what happened to the guy he hit.
I think I just commentated cursed that because I was just saying about how by running the double bar pack, it breeds it, and into the wall goes the number 1 there. I do not know themselves out in such a brilliant way. It means that we're going to stay green for now, which means that the 7 will lead from the 4 with 21. Oh no, 21's made it past the 4, so that's the live timing not updating itself. There, so yeah, 7 from 4 leads from 21 is your top 3, and actually what we're looking at now is that the top 4 are kind of running as a bit of a pack unto themselves. So whether they can break free and grow that gap again,
Looks like
14 laps to go, we'll have to wait and find out.
Another caution, and the number 4 just dumped the number 41 and Blakey. And we can go back and see if that was a checkup or what. But Blakey was lap traffic. Oh, and it looks like he got. We can slow that down, go back. It looks like he got pinball and smashed. Looks like the 7 was checking up possibly, and the 4 just looks like it was a little bit of a smash there. You get the bump. Yep. Just unfortunate situation.
Yeah, I think they all got a bit too bunched up really with the effect of the draft, and you can see how he tries to go wide to avoid the checkup from the 7 and spun around.
Did he hit the wall? Did you see if he hit the wall? Let's go back real quick. I'm sorry.
I think he did, yeah. But let's see if we can get it on replay. No.
Yeah, he tapped it.
We'll
see how much damage.
A touch to the rear quarter panel.
He may not. He is back with the pack. Let's see if he decides to pit. At this point, you're not going to lose a lap to pit, and he's not up there in the position to get his lap back. So it might just be in his best bet to go jump down in the pit lane. But let's see if these guys, like you said, we don't know how fuel mileage works. I don't know if these guys have enough to make it to the end. We'll have to see. We will have to see. And as we get these races, do more of them, we'll figure out what 80% fuel capacity leads to.
Yeah.
And
we are okay, and now this is where it gets super interesting because the 4 dives the last to join the 7 and Bobby as well in the 21.
Okay, dude. So the
Could be
seven,
the
every
final stop for
every
all of these three cars.
yes, and I do want to point out, my friend, every car that pitted was on the lead lap. Every car that was not on the lead lap did not pit. So this is going to be
Yeah.
super interesting, man. Super interesting. We're going to have to see how this works out for the 7. Once again, not dipping down to the pit. 2 cautions not dipping down in the pit. One, Daytona, granted, does not have high tire wear, and super speedways generally don't. But what would you say, man? What were those green flag stops? Lap early 50s, late 40s, somewhere around there?
Yeah, something like that, and almost towards the 60s. So that would give them about 40 laps or so to make it. They obviously, the majority of them at least, don't feel they can make it. And anybody who, had the luxury or had not had the luxury of being on the lead lap has just gone for it because it makes sense. You know, worst comes to worst, you're not going to get it. If you try it and it doesn't work out, then you've got yourself. Yeah, but at least you tried. Again, I think we're in a situation now for those guys that were not on the lead lap where you just have to try something, anything, and just see if it can work or not. You're not going to lose a full lap. You're not going to lose much time really against your rivals if you all pit. And the kind of saving grace for the 7 at least, and those guys who were running a lap ahead of some of the others is that they had that kind of time to make that stop and get out. At least not lose a lap, not lose a full lap. Are we going to see anyone come into the pits on this second occasion? Not quite, I don't think. So it's going to be the 25 that sits in behind the 7. So it's role reversal from earlier at the moment, although I think the 25 is a lap down and just drifting into the wall there. Is that a wheel disconnect? No, it just, that's odd. Because he just came up into the wall for no reason, made contact. Possibly that's damage, I'm not sure. As they're starting to get back into their double file restarts, at least with 25. I'm not sure what's going on with the 25. It must
Yeah,
be
that
said
was.
because
I think he might have possibly just been going high because he has to shuffle back. We're getting in the double.
possibly, but that wouldn't really explain the contact with the wall.
Did he tap the wall?
You wouldn't.
Yeah, that is I do not have an answer for you on that of why he would have tapped the wall. And am I imagining things, or did we lose a car? Did we have 5 cars on the lead lap last go round, or did we have 4? I think
We
we
had
had.
4, I think.
We may have just had 4.
So would that put it at 3?
Well, it looks like once again the 22. The 22 is on the lead lap. He had another late pit stop, so he's making his way around right now. We'll see if he can catch the
Yeah.
pack by the time they restart. He's about 30 seconds
Yeah.
back, and we are currently going through turn 3 right now. So we'll see if he can attach back to the back of the pack, but I don't think they're going to give him actual 5th place since he's so late. I think he's going to have to
No.
actually start from the back of the pack.
Mm.
Which,
Well, I think as we're going due to go green any moment now, you look at the timing screens. It says what it's saying to me is there's 5 cars on the lead lap. There are 11 laps to go. We could well go green for the rest of the proceedings today, as we wait for the pace car to pull in. I think it's going to be a very interesting last 11 laps. This is now the business end of the first ever NASCAR race in the Jobe's Motorsport League, and it's business as usual with the number 7 who will take the lead off of the start. The 4 now needs to get down low, but I think Darby's got up his inside. Yes, he has. So Darby will in the 21 will take second place provisionally. We need to wait and see what happens as these guys will sort themselves out going into turn 1. Darby definitely takes that corner, and the 4
look
is
at that
being shoved out wide.
25. Look at the
Look at the run
25.
that the 25 is getting now. Will pull him side by
Oh, and
side.
these
And now
guys
I
are
think the
lapped
outside
down.
line's forming a real challenge.
This is exactly what I was saying. Both these guys are a lap down, and they can get a lap back here. But they might actually be 2 laps down, so it may not matter at the end of the day. But 3 wide going through
3
turn
wide
3.
for the 4. he's sticking with it as well. I mean, I'm not quite sure what the strategy was there, because he's just lost a bunch of positions. He's going to go to the back of this little battle pack, and actually the 25 will momentarily remain unlapped
And the
for just a moment.
the 22 out of nowhere. He almost didn't make
That's
the
an
restart,
incredible
and
run.
he 3 wide again.
Oh, and look at the 4 making it 3 wide, do turn
wow.
1.
Man, and this
What
is
we have
very
here, ladies
interesting.
and
We have
gentlemen.
2 lap cars in the front, which is going to be giving the actual leader a draft too. Oh, wow. This is going to be interesting.
What we essentially have here are 3 like 5 lead lap cars basically pushing 2 cars that are off the lead lap at the front of the train, and they're trying to sort themselves out as they do it. The 4, meanwhile, hasn't actually lost as much time as I thought it would. In fact, he's going to go and lead that lap. So the Red Bull kind of mock-up livery is put. I thought it was a horrible idea to go 3 wide. Turns out it wasn't, because he's now in the lead of the race. Now he's being shoved out wide again as the 13 kind of tucks back inside.
And
the 4 will lose a couple of positions there. Needs to find a way back onto that inside line and suggest. And now it's Darby's turn to try and chase down the 7. But look at that, ahead of them, the 26.
Darby's going to need help.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you've got to make a move now. We're looking at... Yeah, this is coming to 7 to go. You need to start making some moves. And what they really need to do is clear this lap traffic as soon as possible, because otherwise it's going to just cause havoc in everybody's race. So really, I think there's a collective goal in the sense that you need to make sure that, fuel savings out the window, tyre savings out the window. This is where it counts. You need to clear these lap traffics, and then you can have your battle to the lead. But until you clear that traffic, as the 7 tries to go the 25 blocks, and nearly contacted. Darby runs in the... I thought Darby would run into the back there. As it stands, we're going to go 4 by 4, 2 by 2 by 4, I should say. And what they're doing now, that's 7 and the 25, and I think that's the...
Okay.
No, around goes the 13. Around goes the 22. And that will be a caution. With 5 laps to go, we could be in for a grandstand finish. Here comes the pace car. They're all going to clear him. And goodness me, we thought it might happen. Cautions breed cautions. And when do they come out? Most at Daytona, right when it's about to get into the business end of the race. And here in the Jobe's Motorsport Cup Series, the first ever NASCAR race is going to be decided in the last couple of laps. We are destined for a shootout here, Nap, and how exciting is that?
Absolutely, and you know who's most disappointed with that? The number 7 car. The number 7 right there, he was not going to break the draft of those lead cars. He was in safe position there, 2 lead cars in front of him. He would have had to have a line of 3 on the outside to form for him to even get past. So he's probably the most disappointed right now, because he no longer has those lead lap cars to draft off of. But the fire
but I guess also the only reason that kind of incident happened was because they were all bunching up behind those 2 cars that weren't on the lead lap. The 7's now got clear advantage. The 4 in all of this is actually leapfrogged past Darby Marriott in the 21 with McMahon, and don't count out, by the way, don't count out McMakin and the 22 here, because they're still on the lead lap and they can still absolutely take this.
Absolutely.
The 22 is going to have damage for sure, but you can't count them out. We've seen it so many times at Daytona where there's a last lap wreck, and then suddenly you're dealt with a situation where somebody goes and wins it. In a sort of parting of the Sea of Moses moment kind of situation. So again, nothing is actually decided until this race is fully over, until these cars cross that finish line. And I must say as well, I was skeptical of the 7 strategy all throughout today, because I just didn't know whether it'd be the right call. Turns out it might well prove to be, because he's kind of stayed there ever since the 25 had that accident with the 5. The 7 has kind of stayed there as the dominant car of the proceedings, and the 4 and the 22 kind of got involved with him in that last bit of action. But again, the 7 just seems to have it so dialed in today that the 4 and the 21 haven't been able to do much in that kind of area. We've got 5 laps to go. It will be 4 as they go across the line. Again, we're not quite going back to full green flag running yet. So I think it's going to be a 3-lap shootout for the 7, the 4, the 21, the 1, and the 41 to settle it, and the 25 actually, because Cannon's.
Excuse me.
I'm just reading that Cannon's got himself back on the lead lap somehow.
Yeah, we got 6 cars on the lead lap because of the lucky dog. Each caution we get, and I do not think that we are going to be restarting in overtime technically. So we could have a possibility of another immediate caution and ending up with 7 cars on the lead lap out of nowhere. So we'll have to see how this
Possibly. Well,
plays out.
as long as that caution doesn't cause enough damage to a car that it has to go in tow. So, what is the strategy going to be here? I think we're going to go one more time round. I don't think we don't do single file it's only double file restart. So we're going to do another lap of caution perioding, and all that's doing really is it's just rising that heart rate. You know, we haven't talked so much about psychology as we have strategy so far today now. But you know, being in this kind of position, in this kind of business end of a race, when there's $30 on the line, you know, it is real money that you can genuinely go and buy things with in real life. So you're not just racing for pride here; you're racing for a nice Domino's pizza for the family, a movie trip, a night out. This is genuinely going to have real consequences for your actual life. So there's extra pressure now on these drivers to make sure they can go and get the cash prize.
And absolutely, and something you also but the balance of that aggression is, do you take the $30 now, risk a possible crash out, or do you sit there possibly with the P3 and just take it and look at the long term, try to keep yourself in that $250? Because right now, like we said, earliest guys are going to have the advantage on the season prize, obviously. So we're going to have to see how this goes. Are we going to get an ultra aggressive race, or where will we see maybe somebody lift at the end and think, hey, I want to put myself in the best position for that $250? Because either way, a podium finish to start a season, that's going to put you on a pretty strong track to possibly make a championship run.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. We got to think about the fact that not only have we got 8 races here in the inaugural Jobe's Motorsports NextGen Cup Series, we've got 8 very different tracks, and we've got full season points. We don't do the chase. We don't do the playoffs. We do the proper way of settling Motorsports Series, which is, of course, full season points. And I'm really excited to see what kind of battle that championship is gonna bring out of these drivers. Because again, you're racing for 30 quid. You're racing for up to $30 every week, and then you're racing for $250 over the course of the championship. There's a lot of money on the line here, whichever way you slice it, and that's happening every single week as we get ready to go. So, who wants the money more? Who's willing to put their foot to the floor and take home that $30 prize? 5 laps to go. It's the 7 on the inside. The 4 doesn't get the best start at all. Actually, the 7 takes off with it. 4 gets a quite awful start off a bit there. So the 7 taking the advantage. The 21 of Marriott there as well. And Blackley in the 41. The 13 and the 22 and the 30 nearly goes around. Can he save it? No. Yes. No. Oh, goodness.
Is this
I think he's held it.
He saved it? He saved it. We are still full
He saved
throttle.
it. Incredible stuff from the 13, and we stay green with 3 laps to go, and we're now going to be entering, so long as we make it through those next 2 corners, overtime territory. The 7 is now hot. The 4 is out of contention now. Look at the 25. The run the 25 has is astronomical down the backstretch. He's going to draft with He's going to draft with what looks to be the 41. So it's 4 cars. With 2 laps to go, it's 4 cars in it. The 7 is now trying to hold off the 21 of Derby, the car that we have tipped for great expectations and great things today. The 25 is Arse Nemesis from earlier in the race, and the 41 with a late block, and that might cost him.
No way!
Because
From
the
a lap
41 is going to get a
down!
push.
From a lap down all day, the 41 takes the lead, and the 25 both a lap down all day.
And it's ruined the 7's race because going into 2 laps to go, he's now sitting 4th. Watch for the
Big
22 that's
shot.
going to come up to this pack
Big
with a
shot.
great run around the
Yeah,
outside.
Darby's gonna have
Will a block
momentum.
be thrown?
Oh wow.
Darby to the outside of a 25.
Is anybody gonna go up with Darby? Or is he
I
gonna
don't
get
think so,
shuffled
no.
out?
They're staying on the inside.
And,
Darby's going to get pushed out now, and he'll recycle back. With 1.5 laps to go, it's the 41 and the 25. They were both a lap down earlier. They were the
all
cars
5
that
of
were
these
leading
cars are in
this
contention.
field and a lap down. And now they're leading it overall. 41 of Brackley, 25 of Cannon. The 22 makes a move. Darby wants the push. Darby's going to try the outside line and try and make it work, but are unable to do so. 5 cars all in a right astern. Who is your pick for this one? Because we're about to go to the final lap. It's white flag. There's door to door action between the 7 and the 25. White flag, 1 lap to go here. Not sponsored by Credit One Bank, but well, they are a bank that are available. And Darby's pulling out. Darby's pulling out of the race. He's dropping back incredibly quickly. And it's the 25 that takes it. The 22. Look at the run of the 22. Round the outside. It's incredible stuff. But we are going to a caution, are we?
Is this a caution? Or was that the end of the race? There's no way. Hold up.
I think that was the end of it.
Did the 41 pull it off? That might be
I
the
think
end
the
of
41
it.
pulled it off. That's.
The 41 and the 25 from a lap down all day.
What a story.
1 and 2. Wow. Wow.
That's incredible. Decided by 16,000th of a second. The top 5 cars separated by 0.2 of a second. I'm so sorry for not realizing the ticker. I thought the ticker counts up 1 lap less than we thought, so we actually missed the finish. And there is the most deserved. Well, the burnout is starting for Brackley in the sponsorless 41. I imagine he'll have the sponsors signing up, queuing up to get a piece of his car.
Oh my God, dude. Thomas.
What a finish
how
that
does
was.
this happen 2 weeks in a row? These small grids are giving us amazing races, dude. Wow.
It's Daytona.
Wow.
That's all I'm going to say.
What a race, gentlemen, dude. 2 guys
What a
lap
brilliant race.
down all day. The field was split up. There was groups of 2s, group of 3s, and then at the end, as you said, cautions breed cautions. We got up to 7 people back on the lead lap to end this 5 guys racing to the end. Wow. That's
And
hats
I
off
think
to you guys.
Yeah, and hats off as well to the 13 for making that incredible save late on. Here's the finish then. The 41 gets pushed by the 7 who tries to go for an apron pass, and it's literally it's like the finish of Cars 1. The 41's there. He's trying to make it, but he gets swamped by the 25 and the 7 and just about holds on. In the end, Darby and the 22 weren't quite able to make it happen. Oh, as we cut back to this last half of lap, let's have another look here. So, starting from here, then. Well, that last lap, I think we're going to go into the full last lap for a second. Yeah, so this is the move. The 41 has the advantage, and that move into the outside there is what cost Darby the race. He made his move at the wrong time. He preempted everybody else, and what that allowed to do. The 25 and the 7 and the 22 are super bunched up, coming onto the final back straight. So at this point, they are all jostling for position. They're all thinking, well, we can't really go to a move to the outside because it would destroy our race. The 22 tries it, almost baits Darby into following him, and then again, Darby just cannot make it work. The 41 in here is getting pushed by the 25. The 7 is close there. The 22 wants a piece of the action. And look at the block. Actually, the block that the 41 puts on the 25 probably wins him the race there because it forces the 25 to check up. The 7 tried to go for the apron pass, didn't have the run because he didn't have that gap to close up and kind of gain that momentum. I think the race winning move for the 41 was that decisive block on the 25 car coming out of turn 4 because that just forced the 25 to slow up massively and lose all that momentum.
Yeah, man, that was an amazing block, and I'm just jaw dropped, dude. Two guys lap down all day, all the way up until lap 60. And I'm sure one of these guys didn't even get the free pass the first time. That's just keeping their head down, waiting for the right moment to strike. And two guys that we, quite frankly, didn't bring up since the beginning of the day are now finishing 1 and 2. That's what an incredible race. Like, awesome, guys. Hats off to you. Thank you so much. That was an honor to be able to call that.
Absolutely. Again, and thinking about the strides that this league has made in 7 days. We started this league with 6 cars at Laguna Seca in GT3. We come to Daytona the week later with an all-new broadcast setup that's worked absolutely pretty much perfectly. It was our own fault that we've missed the ending call. We've got a beautiful broadcast package which gives you everything you need to know. You've got 12 cars, the biggest group we've had so far, the best track possible you could place these guys on. I'm just so excited for week 3 of this league when we go back to GTs this time next week at Spa. I just think if this is the kind of progress this league is making in 7 days in its first week, what kind of progress can we make towards the end of season 1? And this broadcast, this product we've got on here at Jobe's Motorsports is only going to get better and better and better.
Absolutely, man. That's the goal. That's why we're giving the prize money, all this stuff, because we want to make this the absolute best league. We want there to be actual real stakes. And at the end of the day, we all love racing. We all have a passion for it. And it's nice to get in a competitive group with some guys that you're going to see every week build rivalries. And, yeah, this league is looking good, man. I couldn't be any happier where we are week 2. And I think, I'm thinking that we're going to have a pretty decent grid next week. I definitely think it's going to be more than 12.
Yeah.
So, man, if we add 6, because, we started first week with 6. We added 6 this week. If we add 6 every fucking event, dude, we're gonna be setting pretty good, and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Thank you sincerely to everybody who competed. We said it last week, me and Thomas. All we do is we put on an event. This stream is nothing without people racing. So thank you for coming in, racing, giving us a chance. Stick with us. There's gonna be a lot of prizes, a lot of events. We have a lot of plans for this league to really give you guys the best product. So thank you guys so much.
I will echo those words again. I couldn't put it better myself. This league is only going to grow from here. But to everybody racing, to everybody watching at home, this is our first YouTube broadcast. And I think it's gone pretty smoothly. Yeah, just again, it's going to be so cool to see where this league ends up, this community goes in the long term. But yeah, we thank you to everybody watching, everybody involved in the league in any capacity. If you're a driver, if you're, Jobe himself working an absolute shift in the production van, broadcasting this race and giving us these pictures. And again, if you know anybody who would love to do a bit of NASCAR, a bit of GT3 racing, again, just let them know, because we are a very welcoming community, and I can attest to that firsthand. And I think it's gonna grow from here. But also, we've got to pay respect and make sure that everybody getting involved at this stage doesn't go unnoticed.
Absolutely, our OGs are always going to hold a special place in our heart, and definitely, we're always going to do something special for you guys. That's why we're doing podium prizes, doing season prizes. You guys, especially the first ones who have showed up, are definitely, like I said, you make the community, and we are going to keep putting on some events, keep on having prizes for you guys, because we love this stuff. And for me,
Absolutely.
that's you got any last words, my friend?
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Jobe's Motorsports. Thank you, Nat, for another brilliant piece of coverage. Again, pleasure as it was last week to call this race alongside you, and I just can't wait to do it again next week. Tune in. It's GT3 at Spa. It's one of the best combinations Motorsport has to offer, that Jobe's Motorsports has to offer. A bigger grid, a bigger race, a bigger track. Everything's bigger in Spa-Francorchamps, as they say. We're gonna steal that tagline from Texas for the week, and I think it's gonna be an amazing, amazing broadcast. So yeah, if you have loved what you've seen here, my name's been Thomas Groves. His name has been. Well, actually, what is your name, Nap? I only
Misha.
know you. I only know you as Nap.
It's Misha, but Nap is fine. So
Misha.
I do appreciate you, Thomas, man, and
Yeah.
everybody who's watching. You all have a good night. See you next
Thank
week at
you.
Spa.